If you are a tennis player who wants to level up their game and their fitness because you are not seeing the results that you want to see, you want to raise your UTR, you want to raise your rating, you want to just play better, but what's holding you back is your fitness, your footwork, or your mentality. I know exactly what that's like. I went to play college tennis at Barry University and I was riding the freaking bench when I got there. And all I wanted to do was go out and start and play and reach the potential that I knew I had in me. But I had to piece a lot of things together. And I didn't know. I didn't have the structure. I didn't have the knowledge. But after a lot of mistakes, a lot of time, and a lot of learning, I found the system, the tactics, the mindset that I needed to do those things. That took me from bench warmer to All-American. And you don't have to be a college player. You don't have to be in college. You can be an adult, a kid. But all these principles you can use to level up your game and get in the best shape of your life, move better, be fitter, be stronger, whatever your goals are, you're gonna be able to use this. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna show you exactly how to go from where you are now to your next level in your tennis and in your fitness, because I made a big transformation and I know that you can do it too. This is me over here. This is me when I was putting in tons of effort, tons of work and time and not seeing the results that I wanted. Okay, and wherever you are now, I'm gonna spill the beans on the tactics I used to have my transformation from going from bench warmer to All-American and how you can apply it to your situation. You don't have to be a college player. You might be going from 3-0 to 4-0, from 4-0 to 5-0. You just want to increase your UTR. You might be in high school. You might be a junior player. You might be an adult. Whatever it is, this is for you. This is going to show you how to get to that next level. Because like I said, I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted because I didn't have the right structure. I didn't have the right tactics. I didn't have the right program to do it. Over here, I was extremely skinny. I was very, very, very skinny in high school, and this was in college, and I was getting injured. I didn't have the energy. I was tired after practice and wanted to just take a nap. Okay, I have also been overweight. And more importantly than overweight, I was just slow. I was unfit for what I needed to do, for what the competition and level demanded me to be at. Okay, this guy's very overweight. That might be you. You might need to lose weight because you know if you do, you would play and feel so much better. You would be healthier. You would win more matches. This is a picture of the bench that I used to ride because that's what I did. I was a bench warmer and I became an All-American. This is me starting at the national champion finals in singles. This is me playing at the home courts at my university. And this is all after applying everything I'm going to show you. This right here, I look better, but more importantly, I even feel better. I was winning matches. I was confident on the court. And this is me after contributing to the national championship and playing singles and doubles and being extremely happy for me and my team and enjoying the entire process. This was a lot of frustration. It was a lot of hard work. And here in the blue is where all that started to pay off. But it wasn't after until a ton of learning, a ton of hardship, a ton of research, a ton of information I had to get from coaches, from mentors, from teammates, until I was able to piece it all together. So I want to spill the beans. I want to show you how to do it because you can apply these tactics for your situation, as well as the mindset tips I'm going to show you that really did take me from bench warmer to All-American. But why should you even listen to me? Well, I'm going to show you two more pictures of national championships. This first national championship was my sophomore year, and I look happy, and I should be happy, right? And I was, because my team had just won the national championship. However, deep down, I was definitely jealous. I was angry and extremely frustrated because it was the point in time where I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted. I was not in the best relationship with myself, with my team, because I didn't play. I didn't feel like I was part of the team. I wasn't contributing. I literally remember going to practice. It would be awkward. Players didn't want to practice with me because they wanted a better hitting partner. And the warm-up was like, they didn't want to start warming up. They wanted to wait for other players to come and play with them. I didn't even get to travel with the team. My first national championship my freshman year, I had to drive myself because the coaches let me know, hey, we can only take this amount of guys. There was 14 guys on the team. I was number 14. I was the bottom of the barrel. And that does not feel good at all. My coach, I remember my first semester, he brings me into his office and he says, hey, you should transfer. I'll help you transfer, because the truth is you are never going to start on this team. Like, that is not something you want to hear. And it's not something I believed. I told him because I knew I had the potential. I knew I could do it. I knew I was good enough. I was there. I just needed to piece some things together. And at the time, I didn't have my stuff together. All right, so I stayed. And I had the transformation. I did it myself. This, and with a lot of help from other people, of course. But this was the result. This is me at a national championship. Much happier, much more fulfilled, because I was starting in singles, doubles. I had become a 2-time All-American. And everything, all the hard work was paying off because I was able to put it all together. And if I did it, you can do it too. And I'm confident, since I've done it and learned how to do it, that I can show you how to do it too. I not only did it for myself, but I coached many players. I still coach many players. I became a full-time coach while I was in college playing. And I fell in love with it. I love to see other people winning. I love to see when all the hardship that I went through and all the time I've spent has helped other players, skip that process, has helped other players win and achieve their tennis goals. So that's why I know I can help you. And I love it so much. It's become my whole life. It's become my whole passion. That's why I started The Forehand Guy, which is my Instagram account. I go by The Forehand Guy. My name's Martin. But we're almost at 50,000 followers. And there's a bunch of BS on the internet. But I'm teaching from my personal experience, from things that I've done, from things that I've done with players, and everything I've learned. I'm not just making this stuff up, right? This stuff works and people are liking it. That's why I think it's been a very positive feedback from everyone, and I hope that you guys take notes, you learn from this, because I'm going to show you. And not only am I giving all this stuff away on social media, I'm also working with clients one-on-one through online coaching, and we're going to get into it, all right? So the first thing we're going to get into is my background, some of the mistakes, most of the mistakes that people make, the training, the lifestyle, the mindset, the do's, the don'ts, the tactics, and also results. All right, so let's go right into it. Before I show you all of this, we're going to get right into how to locking in your fitness, your footwork, and your mindset. Because if you feel like the reason you are not getting to the next level is something to do with your fitness, with your footwork, with your mindset, match play, that mentality, this is the bulk of what we're going to get into today. Grab your notepad, all right? Because if you are able to lock in, if you're able to apply these things, you're going to win more matches. You're going to become more athletic. You're going to get stronger, faster, fitter, look better, feel better, and reduce your injuries. People think that when you start training, when you do all this stuff, you're going to get injured, and then they don't do the training. When in reality, if you do the training right, if you do the gym, the fitness right, that is going to prevent you from getting injured. All right, so let's keep going and let me share some of my background. All right, so before the systems, before the routine, the structure, I was losing to players that I knew I should beat. I was last on my team. Like I said, 14 out of 14. I was a bench warmer. I remember jogging. We were doing some fitness, some team fitness. And I was right behind two of my teammates. They didn't know I was right behind them. And I hear them talking about, who do you think's the worst on the team? And they said me and another guy. And they were like, yeah, but I think Martin takes it. And I laugh about it now. But imagine, I still remember that jog after practice one day because it was burned into my memory. And I knew that I had the potential. And I knew that I was going to prove them wrong, even if that is a bit, maybe not the best fuel. It did fuel me because I knew I was going to become a key player, all right? But I was also too skinny at times. That's what caused me to get injured. It would cause me to not have enough energy, enough gas in my trainings. I was too weak, also contributing to my injuries. I then bulked up. I became too heavy, too slow. I wasn't recovering because my diet wasn't optimized. My state of how my body wasn't optimized, especially for tennis, because more importantly, not only was I very heavy, but You can be at a heavier weight if you can maintain that explosivity, that speed, that footwork. I definitely wasn't, because I wasn't training like an athlete, like a tennis player should be training. All right. I was putting in so much effort, but I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted. I wasn't getting the results, especially for how hard I was working. And that was extremely frustrating. Okay. When I was riding the bench, I was super tight if I did get any playing time against even teams that were very bad, because that's the only time I would get any playing time. Some of the matches didn't even count. Okay. But I was still extremely tight, nervous, because my mindset, my mentality, it wasn't mature. I didn't know what I know now. Okay. And I was missing just basic tactics and strategy. My game was still that junior level game where, it was random. It didn't have purpose. It didn't have organization behind it. And I had to learn all that stuff. And once I pieced all this together, the fitness, the match play, the tennis, the footwork, all of it, is when I started to see the results that I wanted, that I enjoyed, and I started to love the game. I've always loved the game, but when I say started to love the game, I mean enjoy the process even more, right? Because there's a beauty in the struggle, but when things are going your way, it's even better. It really is amazing, amazing feeling. And that's how I got to start in singles, start in doubles, play line one doubles, become a two-time All-American. And when I was heavy and slow and not working on my footwork, from that point, I lost 20 pounds. Okay, so I've lost weight, I've gained weight, I've tried all types of different diets and programs. And once I got it right, this is what I looked like. I not only looked better, I was faster. I improved my footwork. My energy was better. My recovery was better. I was happier. I was stronger. And I looked my best. Okay, I was confident on the court because I was winning matches. I was playing better. My level had made a big, big jump, and it's continuing to improve. I still use these systems, this protocol today, after and post college, and it is what gives me the most. I have more energy now than I ever had before. Okay, so I was competing better and I was feeling great, and this is what led me to enjoy the process even more, and it just becomes a positive feedback loop, right? I was doing things better. I was seeing results, which made me want to work even harder, which I was able to work harder because I was fitter, and all of that just fueled itself into this amazing, amazing cycle. And you can see here, physically, you can have a big transformation, and in your game, you can have a big transformation. And that's what I did. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how. But first, who is this for? If you play matches and you want to get to the next level, this is for you. If you feel like you're losing to players that you shouldn't lose to, and what's holding you back is your fitness, your footwork, or your mindset, this is for you. That's what we're going to get into. Those tactics that took me from Benchwarmer to All-American work for everyone, and they are key into the improvement process. All right, if you want to increase your UTR, your NTRP rating, your spot on the team, get in better shape, and look amazing, this is for you. If you are currently not seeing the results you want from whatever training you're doing, this is for you. If you know you have potential, you know you can get better, but you feel stuck, you're just at a plateau, time is passing by, this is for you. If you lack structure, like you are willing to do work, you are willing to do stuff, but you don't know what to do, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have accountability, someone on your back, this is for you. If you play great in practice but fall apart in matches, that's mental. This is for you. This is not for everyone though. If you are not willing to learn or change any of the things that you are doing, this is not for you. If you have absolutely zero desire to improve, this is not for you. You have to want to get better, right? I can give you the perfect plan, the perfect steps, but I can't force you to do anything. I can't move your feet for you. I can't make you do footwork. I can't make you go to the gym. So if you're not willing, if you don't want to get better, this is not for you. If you are not willing to spend at least 2 hours a week on off-court training, this is not for you. If you don't have a growth mindset, if you've already given up, you've decided that it's impossible, that you're not even going to go for your goals, then this is not for you. All right? So we're going to get into the truth about tennis and fitness and the things that people get wrong. All right. Tennis players are athletes, which means you are an athlete. No matter your age, no matter your level, you are an athlete. Okay. And all things being equal, if you move better, get faster, get stronger, get fitter, you will be a better player, period. And you will win more, period. Right? But you have to do things right. And a lot of people get things wrong. In the tennis, fitness community, a lot of times, lifting, going to the gym is looked as a bad thing, that you're going to get too heavy, that you're going to get slow. And the truth is you will if you do it wrong, right? If you train like a bodybuilder, which I've done, I've made that mistake. I've trained like a bodybuilder. I've trained like a CrossFitter. I've trained like a specific tennis player. I've trained, with heavyweights, with bands, I've done calisthenics. I've done it all. I've done all different types of training, powerlifting, whatever it is. I've done it for a period of time, tested it, seen what's worked, seen what happened, right? And training like a bodybuilder is one of the biggest mistakes that I see because you're not training for your goals. Unless you're trying to jump on stage and perform, that's not what you want to do. You want to train like an athlete. You need to be training in a way that helps you on court. And if you want to look good, you want to have a physique, you can do that at the same time, but you need to, align your training with your goals. And this whole thing that, tennis players don't need to be in the gym is just not true. Okay, it's not true. It's how you prevent injury. It's how you perform better. Look at these guys. Ben Shelton. This guy's a freak. He's a freak athlete. He's clearly got muscle on him. Alcaraz too. And these are two of the best players in the world. Okay, so you're not going to go to the gym one day, lift some weights, and all of a sudden be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, that's not how it works. If you train correctly for explosiveness, for speed, for performance, you're not just going to become and blow up and not be able to move on court. Trust me. Many people have tried to go to the gym and you don't blow up that quickly. And if you do it right, then you're going to see the results that you want without those negative downsides. Okay. Another thing people get wrong is they neglect the most important aspects of tennis, right? Every single person, I know you have heard that you need to improve your footwork. It is one of, if not the most important things for your game. At every level, if you want to go from here, it's like the difference is a variety of things, but one big piece is always footwork. The better movers play better, okay? And with knowing how important it is, most people don't even train it specifically, right? They don't even do it, and you might not be doing it. So that is something you got to fix, okay? And getting injured, right? They think that if they go to the gym, they're going to get injured. But in reality, if you do it right, it is what prevents you from getting injured, okay? What gets you injured is when your form is messed up, when you're not doing the right amount of volume at the right amount of time, like you're programming. If you are in a season of back-to-back-to-back competition and your recovery's not at its optimal state, and then you're hammering the gym, yeah, you're going to get injured. Okay? You're going to get injured if you're overtraining certain muscle groups and undertraining others and have imbalances. Okay? If you have no awareness, which at the beginning you might not have awareness, right? You might not be able to listen to your body as a more elite athlete. Okay? And those are all things, though, that you can learn to get better at. You can be taught what to do, okay, to avoid injury and to actually prevent injury, okay? Another thing people get wrong is they're afraid of the gym. Like I mentioned before, sometimes female athletes, they think they're going to be bulky. You don't just get bulky right away. It takes time. Many men, many people have tried to get jacked. It's not something that is necessarily easy, especially with the amount of movement and calories you're burning as a tennis player, okay? So don't think of it as, you should avoid the gym. Think about how can I use the gym to reach my goals and do it as effectively as possible and in the right way, okay? Because that is where a misunderstanding of the upside comes into play and what it will and will not fix, right? There's a misunderstanding of the upside. These two guys right here, they're incredible athletes, right? You, no matter where you are, can become a better athlete. You can see the effects of your fitness, of your footwork in your game. Like, you will become a better player because you are going to be able to train harder, train longer if you get in better shape, right? If you are overweight and you lose weight, you're automatically going to play so much better. Because imagine playing with a weighted vest or ankle weights. That's what you're doing if you are overweight right now and you have weight that you could lose. This picture right here is a chart, is a text that I got from one of my clients. He's a recreational adult, and he's one of my clients I've been working with. He's been on the program, and he lost 10 pounds. He texted and showed it to me. Then that day, we actually happened to be in the same city in Miami, and I played with him. He was playing so much better. His tennis skills were the same, but what happened? He had 10 pounds less on him. Imagine you having less weight on you. You're going to move faster. You're going to set up to the ball better. So there are huge upsides of locking in your fitness and your footwork. But it's not a cure-all. It's not going to fix everything. If you have, fundamental mistakes or weaknesses in your technique, fitness, that's not going to help your serve, right? Or your forehand if you have the wrong grip. Those things, it's not going to fix. All right. Proper fueling and mental toughness. Most people get this wrong and they confuse things. Proper fueling, right? There is a difference between eating for pleasure and fueling your body as an athlete, as a human. I believe that we should all fuel our body for performance because there's good foods out there that taste great, that you can do it. And that comes down to your habits. But also there's a misconception between fueling performance and fueling to be healthy and perform. Because if you're in a match and you need quick energy, yes, you could, eat some candy and that would give you energy because it has sugars in it. And you're going to use that as energy very, very quickly. However, that's not healthy, right? And there are ways to eat healthy and fuel, okay? And mental toughness. This is another thing people get wrong. They think that mental toughness is something that's just going to spawn out of nowhere when you play because you practice it in practice and you compete. And that's not the case because how many hours do you spend on court, right? Let's say you spend 2 a day. Maybe you spend 1 a day. Maybe you spend 3 a week. Doesn't matter. You spend some hours, right? But the majority of your life, the majority of your time you spend off court. And if you are not a mentally tough person off court, you are not just going to be mentally tough on the court when you play a match in an extremely tough, high pressure environment. That makes sense? Like you have to lock in your outside habits. You have to get mentally tough as a person because mentally tough people are going to be mentally tough players. If you are mentally very, very weak off court, you have to fix those things and work together to fix the things on court in terms of your mental toughness. Okay, so now it's time to learn from everything I know because I'm going to share it and I want you to avoid the mistakes because I made tons and I want you to also just speed up your progress. You don't have to go through the mistakes. You don't have to spend as much time as I did learning the things that I do because I can show you and I can help you start to apply them. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how to level up your footwork, your fitness, how to get stronger, reach the physique you want according to your goals, get faster, more explosive, structure your training, how to program it so you know what to do, when to do it, how much to do it. Okay, you're training your matches while decreasing the chances of injury, locking in your habits, loving and enjoying the process because that is the key. That is when you really start to improve quickly, when you love it. Okay, and how to approach matches and your mindset both on the court, both off the court, whether you're practicing or competing or just chilling. All right, so in case you don't know me, a little more backstory about how I got there was I struggled with my game, like I said before. I struggled with my training. I struggled with my physique. In different points, I was training for different things, and I was seeing different results, and definitely not the results that I wanted many times. My diet, my practice, my confidence in matches, and my court IQ were not where I wanted. Like I mentioned before, I've trained in all types of ways. I also had many different diets. I've tried all of them throughout my life. I've done if it fits your macros. I've done high carb. I've done low carb. I've done paleo. I've been vegetarian. I've done even vegan. I have done, an extreme excess in calories. I've cut. I've done all types. And now I have found a way that fuels me, that gives me the most energy, where I feel great and I get to my goals. This is me. This is a picture of me and my roommate at the end of we were on a trip, and the team had left, and I'm just scarving down all the food from all my teammates' plates at this Asian restaurant. And that's, at the time, what I thought was best. I remember that same roommate and we had an alarm set at night to wake us up to eat massive tuna sandwiches in the middle of the night, and peanut butter sandwiches with a slab of peanut butter this thick, because we were bulking and we wanted to gain muscle. And I did. I gained a lot of muscle, but I gained a lot of weight. And at the same time, my training wasn't optimized. So I got slow. I lost my explosivity, my agility, my speed. I had done it all wrong. This is me also after years of training. I thought I was ripped. That's why I took the picture. But I was a stick. I was super skinny, and I wasn't fit. I wasn't in the, I wasn't looking like how I needed to look, or feeling how I needed to feel, or performing how I needed to perform. And my body was holding me back. Okay. But since learning how to dial everything I've done, I won more matches. I got fitter. I got stronger, and I enjoyed it more. This is me, one of my favorite memories, in an important doubles match against the number one team in the country in a tiebreak to decide the match. And I was hype, okay, because I was confident. And that confidence stemmed from me playing better in my game and me getting fitter, faster, stronger, okay? And this, I don't know if it's going to play. Oh, it's not going to play. Oh, it is. This is me in college dunking a basketball, which I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do. And dunking a basketball is not a skill you need to become a good tennis player. But it is something that is important to me, because it does prove that, I became more athletic. I had big knee problems and knee issues because of imbalances in strength. And I fixed them through training. And now, like there, I'm able to dunk a basketball and, have that explosivity, which does transfer on the tennis court. So that was something that I was really happy to do, because not only is it just cool to dunk a basketball, but it proved that I was getting the results that I wanted. I was training how I wanted to train and performing better. All right. So it's time to lock in. Okay. The system, this is it. I'm going to share how I built it. And the time it took to build was a long time, right? But it takes players, it takes their fitness, it takes their game, it takes their footwork to the next level. And I developed it through trial and error and years of coaching and helping others do the same. All right. And we'll get into those tactics I used to go from here, the bench, to winning a national championship, starting and playing how I wanted to play. All right. So let's break it down. All right. So the three pillars I'm going to kind of focus on right now are our tennis, our non-tennis training, and our mentality. Tennis comes down to your game, the competition, your technique and skills. And by competition, I mean like you actually competing, your practices, and your court IQ. Everything to do with your actual tennis skill and game. All right. Your non-tennis training, which is the stuff you do, it could be on court, could be off court, but it doesn't involve actually playing, right? Your fitness, your strength and conditioning, your footwork, your diet, your sleep, recovery, and your habits. Lastly, your mentality, your mindset on and off the court, your mindset in practice and in matches, and how you approach the process of reaching your goals, whatever those are, and how you solve problems. Okay, all three of these things work together to reach whatever goal you have and whatever level you want to get to. Okay, but when we combine all these things, there are mistakes that I want you guys to not make. So I'm going to share them. Okay, so tennis. Fundamental flaws and weaknesses. These are things within your tennis game that you are going to have to fix. I had to fix things. I had to improve my backhand. I had to improve, where I was positioned for doubles. I had lots of things that I had to practice and improve. And I'm not going to get into the specific things because each one of you is different. Each one of you probably has their own thing, whether it's a specific stroke that you need to improve. So in order to actually get help on that, I would actually have to see you play. I would actually have to need you to send me footage and watch that and talk about it. Okay? But what I can help with now is the other thing. So when it comes to your tennis, low quality practice, right? The mistake, you need to be practicing at a high quality. And when I say high quality, I mean the highest quality that you can get in your situation. And that should be a priority because some of you say you don't have players to play with, which is a problem I had. When players didn't want to play with me, or when I was in a city where maybe there's not as many players at my level. Okay? But you have to realize that is the priority. That figuring out how to find better players is a skill that you need to get better at, whether it's driving, whether it's finding a way to, contact someone, whether it's reaching out, whether it's getting out of your comfort zone and just walking up to people at your club, park, and asking them. You have to figure out how to increase your practice quality through getting better training partners, okay? That's not the only thing when it comes to low quality practice. You need to be giving your best effort. You need to be structuring your practice in a way that gets you better. So you're not just wasting time. If you have no structure and no plan and you're just hitting balls to hit balls, you are not going to see the results that you want. If you need to be doing something, you need to be doing it. You can't just hit cross courts and then do some volleys, play a couple points, and then think that that's going to get you to fix the holes in your game. Okay? You might have a disorganized game. And what I mean by disorganized is you have played, maybe you're just banging balls around trying to hit winners. You don't have any real player identity. You don't have tactics. You don't have set patterns. You don't know what you do well, what you don't do well, and how to effectively beat players, right? The next thing when it comes to the tennis aspect is a lack of competition, okay, and waiting, right? You should be competing. You need to be competing consistently. It doesn't have to be every weekend. It depends your level and your goals. But competition is part of leveling up, okay? And one of the mistakes people make when it comes to competition is waiting. They're waiting to get to a certain level to compete. They're waiting to feel great. There's no perfect time. You get better at it through doing it. You don't get better and that's when you start doing it. Otherwise, you're just going to keep postponing, and not competing. And competing that's the real tennis. Roger Federer said it. That's real tennis. Training is training. Real tennis is competition. Okay? Not prioritizing correctly. Like I mentioned before, you need to prioritize the bottleneck, the thing that's holding you back from your next level. You need to prioritize your footwork if your footwork isn't good. You need to prioritize your fitness. You have so many hours throughout the week that you can dedicate to improving your level. You need to put those hours to the best use that you possibly can. And that's going to be different for everyone. Okay, not reviewing or getting feedback. You need to be getting review. You need to, whether it's yourself, you need to film. You need to watch your matches, watch your practice, watch your technique, because what you think you're doing is not what you're actually doing. And that's okay. That's everyone. But you need to get, you need to get used to reflecting and improving the things, right? Whether it's through a mentor, through a friend, through a coach, or just yourself comparing yourself, to better players, okay? So the next aspect is non-tennis training, all right? The biggest mistake is there's no structure, there's no plan, you're just winging it. And that is a huge mistake. You need to have a plan in the gym, in your fitness, for your strength and your conditioning, for your footwork, okay? You can't just be like, oh, today I'm going to do fitness after practice. Today I'm going to do this. that's not gonna build. You should have steps. You should know how you're progressing. You should be tracking the stats, the metrics, and seeing how you improve and seeing where you need improvement so that you can plan correctly and optimize everything to get the results that you want on court. Okay? It's footwork training, like I mentioned before. People are just not even doing it, and it is so important, right? Non-tennis training also comes into things that aren't necessarily training, but they're things that you do off court, which are destructive, like non-productive habits, whether you're just scrolling on your phone, whether you're eating garbage, whether you're, staying up late watching Netflix, okay? All those things affect your improvement, affect how you level up in your tennis and in your fitness, right? Next thing is maybe you are training, but you're training the wrong way. You're doing the wrong things. These are getting you injured. These are not, they're getting you tired because they're activity, but they're not driving results, not fueling properly. If you don't fuel properly, you don't not only perform worse, but you feel worse. Your health takes the toll. Like all of that and all of this ties in together, okay? And the last one, I made it a different color because it's important, right? It's very important, and I really like this aspect of it, and that is mentality, okay? And a lot of these things are going to be specific to what I used to become an All-American coming from Benchwarmer, but they can be applied to anyone, and they're very, very useful. So listen up. All right. You need to be in a mindset that brings you closer to your goal, both in the general and the specific. And what I mean by that is excuse me, it doesn't matter, right? If you are in a match, in a specific point, you had just lost the point. In that moment, you need to have the mindset, to act and do the thing that is going to bring you in. You got to forget that point, right? That is in the specific. In the macro, in the bigger picture, you also need to have a mindset that is going to help you reach your goals, whether that's in general, a more positive mindset, a constructive mindset, So both in the specific, both in the general, you need that. You need to conquer inputs versus outputs, okay? If you are just thinking about the results, the outcome, okay, it is going to be difficult, right? Because you are going to struggle to be consistent. You are going to struggle to stay motivated. But what I want you guys to realize is that you should focus on the inputs. If you want to win more matches, right? That's the end result, and you just focus on that, you will be worse off than if you focus on the inputs. And the inputs are the things that you need to do that will get you that result, right? So inputs could be, training. You're practicing consistently. Inputs is doing the work, in the gym, going to your footwork sessions, doing your footwork sessions, right? Controlling the things that you can control in a match, and then the results will come, which ties into process versus outcome, right? I see parents all the time. I see bad coaches all the time. Kid or player, adult gets out of a match and they're upset with them because they lose, right? We should not be worried about winning or losing. We should be more worried and more focused on the process. I am extremely happy to watch one of my players lose if during the match they executed the plan that we laid out properly, right? They had the right body language. They committed to their patterns. They stuck to their tactics and they did everything right. Okay, I much rather see a player do that, okay, and lose. That's a W for me. But if a player wins, but they didn't stick to the plan, they showed bad body language, they didn't do the things that we outlined that we were going to do, that is not a win, because that is not, process-oriented thinking. That is outcome thinking, which will not take you as far, and it won't get you the transformation that you want, both in your fitness and in your tennis, okay? Next mentality thing is standards, complacency, and satisfaction. You have to fix the mentality that helped me. This one was big in getting me to the next level and getting me to become an All-American, because I had to raise my standards. There was a point where I was no longer the bottom of the barrel, but I wasn't starting. I was close. I was fighting for a spot. Okay. And in practice matches and sets, I was competing with these guys. I was right there. Right. And I was happy. I was satisfied because I was close. Right. And it is okay to, it's okay. You can be proud of that. You can be happy with the progress you've made, but you cannot be satisfied, because I was satisfied just competing with these guys, right? Because I was here and now I had gotten to here, but that wasn't my goal. I wanted to get here. So I needed to have dissatisfaction. I couldn't be complacent. I needed to raise my standards. I couldn't be okay with just hanging in with these guys. And it wasn't until I raised my standards and got upset, quite frankly, when I would just, keep it close with these guys and not beat them. I had to really want to beat them, I had too much, in tennis we say respect for them, right? I was like just happy to hang in there. No, I needed to not be complacent, to not be satisfied, to be hungry, just like I was when I was lower on the totem pole. And that's what took me to the next thing. Okay, another thing I had to learn was the word should. The word should, I hate it. I hate that word, right? I hear all the time, and I told myself this when I was a bench warmer all the time, like, I should be starting. I should have beaten him. I should have won that match. I should this, I should that. Should does not exist, okay? It is a word that will only hold you back. You need to look at the facts, right? I hate that sound. And I get it. I know the feeling like, I shouldn't lose to this guy. Okay? I know that feeling. But the reality is that day, that time, that's exactly what should have happened, because it was what happened. Okay? And it's not just, this, angry, coach thing in me that hates the word. It is also from, if you want to improve, that's the mindset you have to adopt. Because if you want to just, feel good and cope and say, and convince yourself that you should have done something, use the word should. But if you want results, if you want to get better, you need to delete that word from your vocabulary. All right. The next thing, get your foot in the door. This is what I did when I was a bench warmer. It was much harder to get into the singles lineup than the doubles lineup. So what did I do? I got my foot in the door by getting into the doubles, really focusing on the doubles. And once I got into the doubles, I was able to gain confidence, get attention from the coaches, build evidence that I was good under pressure. Okay, and you can do that whether you're a college player or not. Get your foot in the door in whatever it is you want to achieve. If you want to get into a higher league, start playing with those players. Find a way where you can get your toes wet and get into action, because it's going to help you mentally and in your game and in your fitness, because you're going to see what's possible and what's necessary to get there. All right. The next thing is become undeniable. Stack proof. And this is what I did. And this is what I worked very hard to do. And you need to not, it doesn't matter what you say, right? It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you feel. Even if the things you feel and say are true, it matters what evidence there is, what proof there is. That's what's going to give you confidence. That's what's going to change reality for you. And for me, I was at a point where I hadn't won matches. I wasn't starting. Okay. So I made it a mission to show my coaches proof. I knew that I had to win matches. I knew that I had to prove myself in practice, win as many practice matches as I could, even if it was just practice. And if I did get a real chance to show myself, I had to make it count. I couldn't slack. I couldn't give them any reason to not play me. Okay. And because at the end of the day, you have to convince the decision makers. And this could be your coach, right? You might say your coach hates you, your coach that. But if you prove that you add value, that you are the best choice for the team, for your position, they're going to put you in. They have no other choice. Okay. And when you stack proof that you've done the work, that you're training hard, you give yourself real confidence. You're not just telling yourself that you should this, should that. You know it because you've done the work. All right. So the next thing is, if you want to be the exception, you must act like the exception. I had to do this, right? I was at the bottom of the barrel, and I wasn't the only one. There were lots of players. We had a big team, and it was a very high level team. So many players didn't get to play, and many players never, ever ended up playing. That wasn't going to be me because I wanted to be the exception. And if you want to be the exception, whether you're on a team or not, maybe you're an older person and you want to be the exception where you feel healthy because most people don't. Maybe you're a junior player and you want to be the exception that goes to play Division I college because most people don't. Whatever exception you want to be, whatever results you want that are above average, if you want them, you must act like the exception. Okay, and what that means is only 2% make it to Division I tennis, which means you need to do what only 2% do. Okay, I had to do what my teammates who never got to start weren't willing to do, which was, not give up. After 2 years at the beginning, I kept working. I worked even harder, right? You need to act like the exception, all right? The next tip, be the player everyone wants to succeed in your club, on your team, at your park, at your house, whatever it is. There's a mindset that I had where I was trying to do things on my own, and you might be able to do it, but it's going to be much less enjoyable. When you are the player that everyone wants to succeed, things become much easier and you start to see progress much faster. Even though I wasn't playing, I started, helping my teammates, really, really supporting them hard because I wanted to see them win. And what happened? Well, then they wanted to see me win. They wanted to help me. Instead of a bad relationship, I was building good relationships, and people would go out of their way to help me. And that is something that's very, very important. It is individual sport, tennis, but when you have people, behind you, is where the magic happens. All right. Next thing is fight for it. You got to fight for it. This is a sport. This is a battle. This is something that you've got to want. You've got to fight for, and that's how you're going to get, big transformations. It's not just going to happen if you don't give any effort at all, right? If you make excuses, you need results. You need to work. All right. Don't give any bad evidence and always be ready. This was something I had to learn the hard way because there were times where we would play teams that were really, really bad, and they would put in basically the B team, the bad players. And when they put the bad players in, most of the team would kind of just tank. They'd win because we were just much better than the other teams, but they wouldn't dominate. And I made it a point, no matter who I played, if I could beat them 6-0, 6-0, I would beat them 6-0, 6-0 because I didn't want to give a single excuse for a coach to say, no, but yeah, I'm not sure about him. No, I wanted to show that I dominate no matter what. I give my best attitude no matter what. And you need to do this. Again, no matter if you're on a college team or not. You need, for yourself more than anyone, you need to not, you need to give your best. You need to do what's best for your game, for your practice in every situation. Because otherwise you're giving evidence, even if it's for yourself. You're losing confidence. You're training yourself to not, perform how you should perform. Okay? And the truth is, like I wrote here, it's not fair. Sometimes it's not fair. Maybe your coach does hate you. Maybe your coach doesn't want you to play. Maybe you are not as talented. Maybe you are, very far out of shape. Whatever it is, like some stuff isn't fair. But it is what it is. And you need to do the work because no matter where you're at, the work needs doing. It's not going to do it on its own. And the only way is straight through. Doesn't matter how you feel. Okay? That sounds harsh. I'm being real, not nice right now. But, your tennis game, whether your backhand doesn't care if you're upset or angry or happy, it just needs to be executed, right? If you want to get better, you need to do the work, and you need to be able to do it at the times where it doesn't feel great, which if you put this structure, hopefully you are going to start to feel better. You're going to learn to enjoy the process. But sometimes there are points where it's not fun. That is where we have to, give a little more push. And that's what I did. Okay. So once you do that, on the other side is enjoyment, is process. And that's where we feel the bliss, we feel the happiness, and we get the results that we want. Okay. Another thing is obstacles. Okay. Obstacles. People mistake obstacles for problems, right? They think that, oh, I can't do this because of this obstacle. This obstacle is the reason why I can't reach my goals. That's not true. It's not an obstacle. It's an opportunity, for one. And the second thing, everyone goes through them. And it might be different for them, for him, for her. They might have a different obstacle, but an obstacle is not a problem. It is a feature. It is part of the process. And that is the hard work. That is the problem solving part of being an athlete. You have to overcome these obstacles. And these obstacles are not something that are not meant to be there. They're meant to be there. This is being an athlete. This is being a player, is going through these things. And your potential is limitless. You can improve. You can get better. You can, but you need the right mindset, because you need to complete the right actions. You need to behave in the way that's going to get you that transformation. That's going to get you fitter. That's going to get you winning more. Okay? Because once you lock in all these things, once you stop making the mistakes, get on a structured plan, you're going to see that these things work together. And this is harmony. This is tennis magic. This is the place you want to be. This is where I felt after I became, after I got off the bench, started playing and put the pieces together, right? Because my mindset was better. I was smarter on court as a player, but also just in a healthier state, in a positive state, in a constructive state, because I learned things. I learned that, the ways of thinking that I was thinking in the past weren't serving me, right? And then I found out what does serve me and how to piece those things together. And once I did, I started to progress. I started to see results. And once I started to see results and progress, I started to enjoy more. Once I started to enjoy more, I was excited. I wanted to do more fitness. And when I did more fitness, I saw more results. And when I saw more results, my lifestyle got better. When my lifestyle got better, my mindset. And it's just this positive loop of improvement. And that's where you want to be stuck in, not in the opposite loop. Because we're either getting better or we're getting worse, right? You're not going to stay the same. So you want to be on the right end of that spectrum. Okay, so we're going to get into the do's and don'ts so that you can get into that cycle of positive, improvement and not negative. So, do's. You want to be resistance training. You're a tennis player, you're an athlete. You need to be resistance training. You need lifting weights. It's great. If you do it right, you got to be in the gym. Okay. You need to be training in full ranges of motion. Okay. That is how you build mobility, flexibility. People love to talk about stretching. They do stretching. They think that's going to make them more flexible, and stretching is good. I'm not saying it's not. However, if you want to keep that flexibility, that mobility, and use it when you go onto the court, you need to get strong in those ranges of motions. You see, pro tennis players almost in splits hitting backhands, and they're able to do that without getting injured. Some people watch that and like, oh my gosh, how do they do that? They're strong in those positions, and that's what allows them to do that. So you need to train the right way. You need to train in deep ranges and progress, slowly from wherever you are at. And wherever you're at, you can build, brick by brick. Okay. Prioritize your footwork. It doesn't have to be something crazy, but structuring something where you're doing something, once a week, twice a week, before or after practice, doesn't have to be super long, but putting in some time specifically for footwork is something you should be doing. Okay. Train specifically, both in the gym, both in your fitness. You need to train for tennis or for whatever your goals are. If it's to lose weight, just to lose weight. If it's to, become a beast, whatever it is, train specifically for your goals. Play sets and compete. Whether it's a real competition, whether it's just with your friends, your tennis will improve when you play points, when you compete. So you need to be doing that. And if you need help and guidance with, how to structure competition, when to compete, where to compete, what type of competitions, those are all things that are also, if you do them right, are going to set you up for success. Do film yourself. You should film yourself absolutely when you play. You can watch this back. A coach can watch you back. I can watch it back. And you can get so much better just by doing this. You know, everyone has a phone these days and it has a good camera. It's good enough. You just got to set it up. Okay, do get on a structured routine, right? A structured routine will keep you consistent, right? If you're just doing it willy-nilly, winging it, you are not going to be consistent. And you're also not going to be able to, you know, have benchmarks and track your progress, and then also set it up in a way to fit in. That's one of the most difficult things for tennis players is, you know, competing, playing, practicing, and then also balancing their off-court fitness during different periods of times. And you're not going to be able to do that without a structure, okay? You should be setting goals. You should have specific goals in terms of where you want to be, where you want to go in your tennis, in your fitness, your physique, everything. Do fuel your body, right? People are, you know, see food as just pleasure, you know, and they're eating this stuff and they don't know that that's why they feel bad. That's why they can't think clearly. That's why, you know, they have headaches. That's why, you know, they gas out on the court, they cramp, whatever it is. Like, you need to be fueling your body optimally. That is the best thing that you can be doing. Okay, create the best environment. Environment is, you know, top on priorities in terms of what is going to, you know, speed track someone's progress faster. You need to cut out, you know, bad negative training partners. I remember I didn't have a choice sometimes in college because I was at the bottom of the barrel. I had to practice on, you know, a far court with the other bottom of the barrel guys who were nice guys, but at the end of it, they had already given up. They weren't trying. They didn't care about starting on the team anymore. And that was a bad environment. It was the only environment I had, but I made the most out of it. And I worked as hard as I could to change it. That was a priority for me, right? On weekends, I would practice with one of the good guys, my roommates, who had a great attitude. Great, because I needed a better environment. And you need a better environment for your tennis, for your fitness. You need to surround yourself with people that are also going to bring you up, that are also going to make you play better, work harder, not do the things that you shouldn't be doing. You know the things that you shouldn't be doing. Those are hanging around those people. It's holding you back. You're a sum of the people you hang out with, whether that's the team, whether it's the 5 friends around you, your family, all those things. You need to curate them. And as much as you think, but it's not that big deal. Oh, he's this. It's like, no, it makes a huge, huge difference. Okay. So take notes. And what I mean by take notes is reflect. You play a match. You shouldn't just be like, oh, I lost, I'm angry. That's it. Or I won. That's it. Like, the best players you'll see, and not just, pros, like in college, in juniors. I remember as a kid, when you play a match, write down after, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? What was he able to exploit in my game? What do I wish I could improve? What did I feel? All these things, take notes and review them, reflect on them, take them to your coach, send them to me, whatever it is. But you can learn so much. You do it for other things, do it for your tennis. Ask questions. When I was on the bench, I asked so many questions to teammates that I looked up to, teammates that were better than me, teammates that had more experience, were older than me. I was like, always constantly asking. And to the coach, one of the coaches that I really learned a lot from, I would ask him questions too. And I would look online. I was constantly trying to learn, and I still am always in a student, mindset. Even as a coach, I want to be the best coach I can be. I always want to get better as a coach. I have to have that student, and I have to always be curious and ask questions. And you should be doing it too in your game, in your fitness. Okay. Last lock in your habits. You got to lock in, and you can do it. I know how hard it is to start a new habit, but when you start to do these things together, everything becomes easier. Okay. You don't want to be doing things that are not productive. Okay. Which leads me into the don'ts, right? Don't neglect your footwork. Don't neglect your fitness. I've said it many times already. It's the truth. Okay. Another thing, don't do endless cardio. I have been a runner. I love to run, but I know that, running and just doing long runs and endless cardio, that's not what's going to help me the most, right? And it depends. It goes back to, it depends what your goals are, but You have to train specifically, right? In tennis, it's 20 second, much less than 20 seconds usually for a point. And then you get, 20, 30 seconds rest in between, and then it's back at it. It's high bursts of energy, high intensity, short rest, back at it, back at it, back at it. So you need to train that way. You need to be doing intervals. You need to be doing things that are going to help you, whatever your goals are. So don't wing it. Don't have the bad habits of scrolling, of skipping practice. Every time you engage in a bad habit, you've got to think about it. Not only is it a bad habit, but you are practicing getting better at those bad habits. Like skipping is not a good thing, right? You don't want to skip practice. So not only do you miss out on the gains of the practice or of the workout, but you also get better at skipping, which is why you really need to lock in. Okay, don't get sucked in to this loop, to these negative people, to these bad training partners, into a cycle of where you're not getting better. Okay, and don't give up. Don't give up. I've seen the main killer of things. Like I've seen so many players, including, in my team and in other teams, in like they reached their goals because they just didn't give up. They kept going, and people who are more talented, who are much better players, like they didn't reach anywhere near what these other players reached because they just gave up. Okay, so don't give up and don't wait. Don't wait to take action. Don't wait to start doing all these things because time is going by and you have to make things happen. All right, don't eat garbage. Don't skip, like I mentioned before. Don't waste time. Like, doesn't matter if you have 10 hours, 20 hours, or 3 hours a week to train and to do everything. You have to be methodical. You have to know exactly what each hour is going to. And that is how you do it. Because if you effectively train, you don't have to spend tons of hours to improve. Okay? I spent tons and tons of hours to improve and to learn how to be more effective. All right? Don't let your ego get in the way. Ego is one of the biggest things in tennis that keeps you from learning, keeps you from getting better. If you're arrogant, you think you're just better than everyone, you are not going to be able to absorb the information. You're not going to be able to learn from your mistakes, and that is going to hold you back. Okay? If you're prioritizing the wrong things, you are going to not see the results that you want. You need to prioritize the thing that is holding you back. You need to know what that is, and you need to prioritize within that thing. If it's the gym, if it's your fitness, if it's your footwork, you need to know which specific thing within that aspect that you need to be working on over everything else, because that's what's going to make you better. Okay? And not taking action. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You got to know that. All right? So what you might be thinking, all right, all these things, it sounds like a lot. I don't have enough time. Guys, that is why a structured program is important. That's what it is for. It is so that you don't have to waste a bunch of time. If you prioritize your time right, if you structure it right, then you don't have to spend endless and countless hours in the gym, on the court, and doing all these things because you're getting the most bang for your buck. You're being effective, right? It's too difficult. Guys, a proper program is scaled for you. It is not too difficult because you start from wherever you're at and then you stack brick by brick by brick and get better, okay? If you feel like you're not ready, that's the point. You don't get ready and then start, right? You start and then you get ready. There is no perfect moment to start. The moment is now, and the moment you do is when you start to see results. You're always going to feel a little uncomfortable. It's not until you start that you start to make change, because nothing changes, I'll say it again, if nothing changes, okay? You've already tried before. Good. You have to keep trying. You cannot give up, okay? If you did something in the past that didn't work, it's time to do something else. Because what is the alternative? Okay, I'm done. You quit. You're not going to do anything. Like you have it in you. You know you have the potential. You just have to do the work. And this stuff works, guys. I've done it. I've done it myself. I've done it with players. So you can do it too, all right? I'm too old. You're too old. Or maybe you think you're too young. No, that is exactly the time to do it. Like at any age, you can improve, right? If you are too old, What do you think is going to happen if you increase your energy? What do you think is going to happen if you start to feel better? If you start to not have aches, not have pains, less body fat? You know, if you're too young, you start to get stronger, you start to get bigger. All these things are just going to improve, and they're all scalable to wherever you're at now. Okay, I'm not advanced enough. This is for any level, beginner, intermediate, advanced. You can do it, and you deserve to do it, because you need to experience, what you're capable of, because that is the best feeling on the world. And it is why I brought up one of the best feelings I had in my entire career, which this was, I'll play it now. This is me and my partner, one of my best friends, and I'm returning match point. I get excited watching this. Let's go. All right. That is me clinching the doubles point against one of our biggest rivals in one of the most important matches of the season. Okay? And I was only able to be in that situation and be there, and then my teammates rushing to me, hugging me, and I get emotional just thinking about it because of how awesome that is. And these moments, whatever they are for you, it might be winning a tournament, your first tournament, it might be winning a match, it might be going to the school you want to go to, whatever it is. It might just be playing pain-free, it might be going from 3-0 to 4-0. I can name all the examples of what what it is, that goal you have, and it's possible, and getting there is an incredible feeling. And even more than just getting there and achieving it, it is the lifestyle, it is the things that you learn along the way, and it's possible. It is 100% possible. Okay, and you should experience that, and I did, and I am, and you can do it too. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're at now with your tennis, fitness, age, skill. If you get on a structured routine, you are going to start to see progress and get on track to reaching your goals. Get to the next level of your game. Get in the shape and fitness that you wish you were in now. And if you feel like you need help dialing in your routine, you're not sure exactly what to do, you want to start seeing results, you want to get better now, then book a call with me with the link in the description. It's also in my bio to book a call for my one-on-one coaching, so you can see the same results that I've seen, have a big transformation just like I did and all my other clients. If you want to get the tennis and the physique dialed in, I guarantee I can help you. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Give it a like, follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one. Vamos!